Hi guys, I'm super excited that you've joined me today. And the reason that we're having this conversation today is for the sheer fact that a lot of people have weight equipment inside their house, or they have fitness equipment or gym equipment that, I don't know, maybe you're not using. I mean, is that possible? I started looking around my house, and one of the reasons I did was because the studio that I'm in right now is technically my weight room. And as I started to look at the space that I was using, I realized that the utilization of the space has changed. And I know as we progress through life, sometimes things happen where our life does change. And so what we did in the past is not what we're doing right now. And so therefore we don't have the same need for hanging on to some of the same equipment. For example, as I was going through my weight room, I found one of these. No, not one of these. You guys all have one, right? There's probably one tucked under a stash of stuff in probably just about everybody's home. And I too fell victim of the infomercial or whatever it was that promised I was going to have flat abs. And, all I got to do is just roll a few times a day and what have you. So the challenge for this is, are you using it? Now, I've put together a series of images that I want to share with you today. And I specifically chose these images not to have really happy people that were showing lifestyle moments where they were spending more time with their family and they were athletic and they were fit and all these things, because that's what they do in advertising. And in advertising, when you see fitness equipment and you see gym equipment, the first inclination is to think, and it's designed to do this. This is what advertising is all about. It's designed to have you go, oh, wait a second. If I bought this piece of weight equipment, then I too would be fit and I would get to have fun with my family. And then I would, life is so much better. And then we buy the equipment and we get it home and it ends up being something like this. Oh no, you guys have one of these too, right? If you guys have a pull-up bar that goes over a doorway in your house, right? Pull-up bar in the notes. I'm curious, is it just me, or I don't know, is there someone else out there that has a pull-up bar? And then my question becomes, how often do you use it? Are you using it now? Are you using it on a daily basis? Because if you are, awesome, great for you. I'm so happy for you. You have the right piece of equipment. If you're not using it yet, I want us to stop and just ask the question, am I going to use it? Am I going to use that? I mean, let's be for real. Am I going to use this? And if you are for real going to use it, awesome. Let's put it on your calendar right now, today. Today is this conversation. We're either going to use it or lose it. Okay. So I want us to just take a look at some of the images that I have here. And I'm going to just let this play while we're having a conversation. And I want you guys to ask your questions. I want to walk through the different images with you. And I want to have a conversation about, do you have something like this in your house? Did you have a teenager or somebody that was in sports years ago? The National Alliance for Youth Sports says that students after the age of 13 stop playing sports. 70% of kids stop playing sports after the age of 13. And so there are a lot of adult athletes, but for the most part, a lot of sedentary people are sitting around at home and they're not using sports equipment like they once did. So I'm curious today, what does your lifestyle look like? And do you have things that are, I don't know, in your garage, in your attic, in a bedroom? I thought I had isolated the move of my weight room over to another smaller weight room in my house. I did get rid of some weight equipment. And in the process, I was like, okay, I'm all organized. And then what I found was, lo and behold, there are still 4 rooms in my house. Four rooms in my house that still have weight equipment that was just kind of like scattered all over, or I've been storing it in different places. And so am I going to use it? And this is the conversation I'm having right now. I'm having it with myself. But one of the things I discovered in my weight room as I started to downsize a little bit so I could use this as a studio was I had a great big monster piece of weight equipment. It's one of those big machines where you pull the pin and it's got all the free weights and you can lift weights and stuff. But I wasn't using that machine. The exact same exercises I was using that for, I can do with free weights. And so with a little stack of free weights, I was able to downsize and just get rid of that whole entire unit that took up 8 feet in one direction and 9 feet in another. That's a huge space in most homes. And I was able to get rid of it from this very room that I'm in right now. Now, across the room, I had a great big industrial treadmill. And one of the conversations I had to have with myself was, am I using it? Now, I love that treadmill. And if we go back to the Decluttering 101, where they say, does this spark joy? And if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it. This sparked joy for me. Okay. As a marathon runner and a triathlete, I love my industrial treadmill. It goes up to 12 miles per hour. And it's really hard and very difficult to find a treadmill that goes that fast and is that well built. And the reason that I say well built is because it had it like a cushioned landing, so that it was not like out running on the road where it's really tough on your skeletal frame, but that when you landed, it kind of cushioned your fall. It was really awesome. And then in addition to that, it had the incline that went up and down. And so if you start getting a kink in your back or your knees or something, you just change the incline and suddenly it's like running on a rolling hill, which was so awesome. And then the last thing that I loved about that treadmill, and it was expensive and it was hard to find, but it had a 60-inch plate on it. So that if you start running, and I've got really long legs, when you start running, your stride then doesn't like slip off the end of the treadmill, right? So for me, I had to decide, do I want to get rid of that or do I want to keep it? But then I started looking at my lifestyle habits, and this is my question for you. Are your lifestyle habits right now conducive to you keeping that great big monster piece of equipment? And I say it's a monster piece of equipment because when I had this home built, and here's a secret that I don't think most people know, but when I had my home built, the room that I'm using right now as my studio, it was designed to be a weight equipment. And so underneath the floor is the ceiling to the next room below me. In that room, it's got a coffered ceiling, and it's not just plates of wood. I had it reinforced with steel railroad ties that are about this thick, so that it would hold the weight equipment in that great big industrial treadmill as I was doing my training indoors, right? So this house was built for that unit. And then that unit was in here, and it took a bunch of people to get it up here, and we had to get a bunch of people to help us take it out. But the reason I let it go is this. What I'm doing right now in my personal life is I'm getting up every morning at the crack of dawn and I'm going outside. And I live in North Carolina, where it's not frigid, bitter winters where I have, sub-zero winters or whatever. It's kind of like 60 degrees in the wintertime. And on a really, really cold day, it might be like 50 or something. And so I'm still running outside year round. And so what I thought in my head, and I fell victim to one of those, fancy pictures of like, hey, you'll live forever. And it has the great big handrails and you can use it as you get older for stability and all those things. I just realized it was taking up too much space and I wasn't using it like I thought I was. And so then I ended up selling it. So a couple of options we have today. You can sell, you can donate, and there are lots of different places that we can donate, but we'll have those questions and conversations. So I do want to jump over to our comments. I know we've got a lot of people here, and I'm super glad that you guys have joined me. Thanks so much. Babulus says, thank you, Angela, and says, yes, I have one. I use it because I need to close the door sometimes, and I took it down and I never put it back, of course. Oh, this is the door pull-up bar. Yes, I know, I'm guilty of that myself. I took it down when I moved something, and then I hung it over the door rack on that door. And so my pull-up bar, then the door wouldn't close with that. So I took the pull-up bar down and now I'm not using it. And I'm looking for a different door in my house that would allow me to use that. Anyway, if you guys want to jump on here and have a conversation with me, that would be awesome. I see that Heather has joined us today. Heather, if you are ready to jump in, give us a thumbs up. It's so good to see you again here. How are you today? Oh, you're on mute.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Do you have an over-the-door pull-up bar?
I do. It's in the garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not hanging in the garage. It's on the garage floor.
Yeah. What else do you have in your garage? Do you have any other pieces of equipment?
Yes. I have a full exercise machine. I have a stand-up boxing I don't even know what they're called, but the boxing bags, the punching bags.
Oh yeah. I still have punching Bob. I saved Bob.
Yeah. And then
Do you punch yours, or is it just in storage kind of?
No, it was my son's, and he turned my whole garage into a gym, and then he quit working out.
Okay, so you have a gym, but it's not in use.
Yes.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
I went to visit some folks, and they're in the 70s. And when I got to their home, they said, come look at our beautiful gym. And they showed me their beautiful gym, and it rivaled a fitness center that you would see in a community neighborhood, where it had like the Bowflex equipment, and it had treadmills and elliptical equipment and free weights and the mini trampoline, and it had all the stuff in it. And it was awesome. And I said, which of you who in the house uses it? And they're like, well, none of us. And I was like, okay. And they had spent years with their dream was to have this great big gym inside their home. And they lived kind of out in the country. So then they built this gym. And it was awesome by every stretch of the imagination. But by the time they got around to building it and decorating it and buying the equipment and all that stuff, everyone in the house had moved on from that phase of their life. And I say that phase of their life because what had happened was either they'd had hip replacements or shoulder replacements or knee replacements or whatever. And so the equipment that they were hoping they would one day use, like way back when, now they were not in the physical shape to be able to use it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
And so then, okay, now it just looks pretty. And now they have to dust it. And then that was my next question. Like, oh no, you've got all this weight equipment. Now you just have to dust it and clean it. And who does that? Right. And so instead of saving, some time and some energy and whatever, now it had just created something else that now they had to manage and take care of. So I know lots of people, you're not alone. These people are not alone. I am not alone. I have, like I said, a bunch of equipment in my house I'm not using today. And I kind of either need to start using it or I need to lose it. Right.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at everything that I found in the garage. I found a dance bag that had dance shoes from when my daughter was like 9 and she's almost 17 now. So
Wow.
I don't know why I still have it. It doesn't fit and she doesn't dance anymore. So, but I also found like skateboards that my 25-year-old used to use when he was 13.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why I still have them, but he's like, oh no, those are memories. So I just keep it. And nobody's skateboarding at my house. Like, I don't know why it's still there. And like roller skates and roller blades. Nobody in my house uses those. Why do we still have them? I don't know.
So will you at some point, will you use them again? Or has everybody kind of passed that phase of their existence?
Everybody is definitely past that phase, except for like my granddaughter, but I'm not talking about any of her stuff because she actively uses it. It's just all my grown kids. I have all of their stuff still. And I know that we're not going to use it. So I don't know.
Well, it's an interesting, Judy just jumped in. Hey, Judy, it's good to see you. And Robin Richter says, hi, Angela, not related to sports, need advice on a wooden baseboards and cleaning log cabin. So Robin, that's an awesome question. And thank you so much for asking. I would love to answer that in the questions below after this video so that I can give you the proper attention that you need to figure out what exactly you're looking for there. So as far as what we're doing in our lives right now, I know that at a certain point of life, a lot of people will downsize their homes and then they kind of like move to a smaller home or a home that doesn't have, 2 or 3 stories in it or what have you. And in looking at those kinds of homes, because right now, both my husband and myself, our parents are at that age where they're now looking for the no stair homes, right? They're in smaller homes. And in looking at those kind of homes, one of the things that is alluring to them is, oh, this neighborhood has a fitness center in it. We could go down and we could use the gym and the pool and the bocce ball and all that stuff. But then the question is, are you actually going to use it? Because if you are going to use it, you don't need to take any of your sports equipment with you, right? One of the conversations was, would you take a treadmill with you to the new house? The answer is no, not at all. If 3 doors down, there's a fitness center that has a treadmill in it, that if you put on your walking shoes and you were to walk, 100 feet or 100 yards, you could access that. And then you don't need to store that and clean it and have it take up space in your home. And so there are a lot of options as we get older. And I know some of the folks that are in physical therapy and they have had surgeries and stuff like that, they're using different types of equipment where they're using like stretch bands instead of free weights. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of exercise than maybe what they've done in the past.
It takes up a lot less room too, using the bands and stuff instead of the big free weights.
If you look at the picture right now, there's a little stair stepper. I too had one of these and it promised that I was going to have like a great butt and great legs and all this stuff. And I put it inside my weight room in front of a TV because in my head, I was going to like watch TV when I was like doing the physical exercise. But my habits, here's the weird part, I don't watch TV. And so I didn't ever find a time when I was just going to watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I had a time I was going to exercise, instead of getting on the little stair machine, my exercise was really, I'm going to be jumping on the mini tramp, or I'm going to be out jogging or doing something else that's not just the stair stepping. So I never used it very much at all. And so that was one of the easiest things for me to give away, because as I started looking at the, I don't know, maybe the possible uses, I realized that one of the reasons I had purchased all the equipment that I had purchased was because of the advertising and because of what it promised, but it never explained how much work it was going to be and how much physical labor and how much, are you really going to sit in front of the TV and do this? I know at one particular time of our marriage, we had the exercise bike, the electric exercise bike that plugs into the wall and it tracks your speed and your distance, and it has rolling hills and all that stuff. And we're going to do that while we're watching TV. And I find, I shouldn't confess this, but if I am watching TV, because we do have dinner and a movie night once a week, I am so guilty of like bringing my laptop and I'm like answering emails and YouTube comments and stuff like that while the TV's going on in the background. And so I'm not exercising like I'm supposed to be if that was the goal. Right?
Yeah.
So I have to really take a serious look. And it's one of the things that I'm hoping that we can do today. And it's the reason that I'm looking at some swim equipment here. I've been a swimmer for years. I swam all through my teens, through my 20s, through my 30s, through my 40s. I still have my swim equipment. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I've got a swimming pool that's a couple doors down in our community center. And I haven't been there at all this year. I belong to a fitness center and I haven't been there at all this year. I kind of did not go during COVID. And then since COVID, I'm still paying for my membership. But since COVID, I've just been out jogging every day. I find that it's not, my schedule got busy. And so to drive to the gym and to take time out of the schedule and then shower at the gym and all that stuff, it's an extra hour or two out of my day that I don't have. And I'm really lucky to squeeze in like a 45-minute workout in the morning and then come back to my own house and just shower and we're done. So my habits have changed, and I know a lot of people's have. Robin says, donate all that to a youth or to a rehab thrift store. Here they'll come and get it. And that's true. Thank you, Robin, for bringing that up. That is so true. So many places will take your equipment. And then also we have the Facebook marketplace, and we have Nextdoor as a place where you can just give it away if you want. One of the things that we've done in the past for home equipment and for gym equipment and for things that we find in the closets, and especially the garage as we're going through some of the stuff. I say the garage, I'm looking at these golf clubs, and I have a set of golf clubs out in my garage right now, that brand new set of golf clubs, brand new golf bag. I've used them once. Somebody gave them to me as a gift because they said that business people do business on the golf course. And so they gifted me this really nice set of golf clubs. And they're Callaways. I mean, they're nice. I should sell them. And I hung on to them for 20 years because one day, I don't know what, one day I was going to go take golf lessons and I was going to go on the golf course and do business. You know what I mean? And now I have 3 sets of golf clubs out of my garage right now. And exactly 0 of them are being used. My husband used to golf. And then when my business got busy, he started taking over some of my tasks. I outsourced them to my husband. I know, right? And then he started not golfing because he was doing my tasks. And so thank goodness. And I'm so blessed that he's helping me. But because our life has changed, I have 3 brand new sets of golf clubs that are not being used at all. And I need to either sell them or give them away. It's just, why are we hanging on to this?
I don't know. It's something to golf clubs are evidently really hard to get rid of. Like, people get an attachment to them. My husband has played golf maybe twice in our entire marriage, yet he moved this humongous bag of golf clubs 5 different times to different states, never having used it. And finally, just like a week ago, I was like, I'm donating these. I'm getting rid of them. And he was like, but they were so expensive. But it doesn't matter because you're not using it. So yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
I'm looking here at a baseball mitt, and I know that there are a lot of people that have hung on to sports equipment from when their kids were in school. And I know right now I'm guilty of having a baseball mitt from when my husband was in high school. And now we're in the 50s. He's not ever going back to that high school again. He's not ever going to be playing that ball again. And I asked, are you ever going to play again? He said, oh yes, when I retire, I'm going to play softball. I'm going to play like with one of those old men's clubs where all the guys get together in one of the active retirement communities. She goes, sure, I'm going to play again. Okay, so my question is, are you going to use the old mitt that you used back when you were in high school? Or are you going to buy something new that, is more accommodating to you now? It's probably still good. It would probably still last, but it probably has lost some of its zest, or maybe it needs, I don't know, leather reconditioning or something. You know what I mean? Is he really going to use the same ball, bat, and mitt that he used back in high school? Probably not. So is it time, and can we say goodbye to, we're looking at some hockey equipment. Is that person going to play hockey again and use that same equipment? And if they were to go with a new club, they might have, I don't know, new colors or something, So do we need to keep all the stuff that we have? And what in your house can you get rid of? So I'm going to ask you, Heather, I'm looking at a trampoline here. Do you guys have anything that off the top of your head you're never going to use again that you could, I don't know, let go of?
Definitely. I could get rid of the entire, Bowflex and the boxing thing. I could get rid of all of that. I would be fine getting rid of the skateboards and the skates, and we don't use any of them, and none of them were super expensive. So I don't know why we're keeping them, but it did bring up a point to me though. My daughter played softball from 4 until 16, and softball bats are expensive. Like, you're talking $500+. So when you get one and then she decides not to play anymore, well, we have 6 of them. And so my husband's like, oh no, I can't just get rid of those. Those were way too expensive. But she's never playing ball again. So let's give it to someone who can use it, because they are still good. And the last point I wanted to make was, there is a place near us that only sells used sports equipment, and they will buy your sports equipment from you, or you can get it like on credit and use it there or whatever. But that's an easy way, instead of having to do the marketplace where you have to constantly talk to people, and like, you can go there and just take your stuff and they'll tell you what they're going to give it to you for, or give you for it. And
is that consignment where you give it to them and then when they sell it, they pay you, or do they pay you up front for it? Like, they just buy it from you and then write you a check?
Yeah, they just buy it straight from you in the store that I'm talking about. I don't know about all of them, but in the one that we go to, we used it a lot for when my daughter was playing softball. She would outgrow a bat. Well, we could take the bat that was still a very expensive bat and trade it in on a bigger bat that is a nice bat. So it's a good option for sure.
Well, it's interesting because I have a lot of the swimming gear that I used for years when I was swimming as just for exercise. I swam competitively, and then I swam as a triathlete. And I saved like my kickboards and my pull buoys and my goggles and my swim caps and all that stuff. The swim cap and the goggles I could hang on to, because if I were to go down to either the gym that I'm a member of or go to the neighborhood pool, then I would use those again. What's interesting about my situation is, while I've saved all of those things, the fins, the pull buoys, all that stuff, when I go to the gym, they have all of their own sets of that. And so then I have to say, well, then I bring mine, because now it's just kind of like duplicating the effort, because they already have stuff that they clean and sanitize every day. And so why don't I just use theirs and not, schlep all my stuff all around, because now I'm storing it. I'm putting it in the car. Oh, I forgot something. You know what I mean? It's just, they already have it all there. I just go and I use theirs, and that's part of my membership. And so is it possible that maybe we have duplicates of stuff, and we can, like you said, either trade it into a store like that, or I don't know, start using it for my neighborhood pool? If I was going to use my pull buoy and my kickboards and all that stuff, that would be the place to do it, because they don't have that equipment at my neighborhood pool. Yeah. And so if I was going to use the pool, that makes sense to keep it. But if I'm not going to use it, I need to be really honest with myself moving forward. What does my lifestyle look like? Is it possible that I'm going to use it? If it's not possible, and that's kind of not where I am in my life right now, how much is it going to cost? Like you said, how much is it going to cost to replace that? And if I was going to go buy a new kickboard, what am I going to spend? $21 or something for a new one? Or check it out, I could go to the sports store that you mentioned, and I could get something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm thinking about a lot of students that they're required by their school to have certain pieces of equipment and stuff like that. And I know that it's really expensive for a lot of families to try to get the sports equipment for their kids so that their kids can play sports. And if there was a way, like there was a trade-in program or there was a place that said, hey, we sponsor, kids that need a baseball or kids that need a bat or a mitt or whatever, and they could use your equipment, then that would make a lot of sense to see if you could donate it to a place like that. And I don't know, I would have to check, but I don't know if you run a business, if some of that's tax deductible. If you used it for your business, probably yes. If it's probably for personal use, probably not. So I don't know how that works. If you earn money from it by selling it, I guess that would be considered income and you would still have to pay taxes on that. I don't know how all that works. I know that we do in the decluttering space, we just give a lot of stuff away. One of the most successful things that we've done is just to take a picture of it and then put it at the end of the driveway, a picture of the mailbox and like the house behind it. So you know that you're at the right house, put it in a box, take a picture of that, and then just say, hey, this is at the end of my driveway, first come, first serve. And then people can come take it if they want it or if they could use it for their kids,
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that in the past too, with donating my daughter's softball stuff as she outgrew it. I would donate it to an organization that is helping kids play sports because it is insanely expensive, and not only just play, but then all of your equipment. So I think that would make me feel better about getting rid of it if I knew I was giving it to someone that really could use it.
I see that Sally has joined us. Sally, if you're ready to join us on camera, give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up. It's good to see you again. How are you?
Good. How are you? Long time no see.
I know. Welcome back.
Yes.
So we're talking about sports and sports equipment today. I'm looking at some ice skates. Did you ever ice skate?
Yes, but I'm no good. I'm really bad at it.
I went once and I went with my nieces and they like grabbed me like, hey, come on out on the ice. And my feet slid out from underneath me and I landed on the ice, like on my butt. And like I felt like it broke my spine. I couldn't move. They had to like haul me off the ice and I couldn't move for like a week. I hurt so bad.
Oh,
so
wow.
Then I never went again. So
yeah, I only went a few times, but same thing. I had to like somebody had to hold me. I had to hold the railing and yeah, I fall down multiple times. Yeah, it hurt, yes, because the ice is really hard, the surface, yeah.
So do you have any extra weight equipment in your house or fitness equipment or gym equipment? I'm looking at one of these little mini tramps, and that one piece of equipment, this little mini tramp that you're seeing right now, that is the one piece of equipment that if I had to give everything else away, that is the one piece I would keep. I use that. I had at one time 4 of them in different rooms of my house. I now only have 2. But I use them probably, no lie, 10 to 12 times a day. And so I use them all the time. And it might just be 2 minutes here and 2 minutes here and 5 minutes here. But like if I ever feel like I'm kind of like falling asleep or I'm just kind of lethargic, I'll bounce for a couple minutes and it kind of like wakes me up again and gets blood circulating through my body. And it's really a great exercise. So that one piece of equipment, you cannot pry out of my fingers.
Nice. I don't have any water exercise equipment much in my house, but I do have bicycle, basketball. When the kids were young, they were using it. So as I got older, the basketball, the thing like that, and the bicycle, they don't really use it anymore. So I give to a lot of friends that have younger kids that they can make use of that. So that's what I do. I not really donate it. I kind of give it to friends, family's friend.
Let me ask you a question. Because I would like to donate something and give it away too. And I don't know where to give it because it's not really a piece of weight equipment, but it kind of is. My husband was watching this ad on TV or something, and he got really excited because they have these chairs that you sit on that have a great big ball that looks something like this.
Okay.
Except this is the ball. And so you'll see next to my head how big it is. It's not that big. And it fits on just this little tiny thing that sits on the floor. And so if I were to sit on it, I'm not tall enough to sit up at any desk. And so it's like the desk would come up like to my nose. So I couldn't like, type with my arms up here like this. It was just too close to the floor always. And I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can make the screen big for just a second. Okay, if you can see this, like it has a whole bunch of dust on it. Like how scary is that, right? I just went and I found this and I pulled it out. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all that dust. I haven't dusted this in a long time because I'm not using it. And so I'd like to give it away, but I think instead of it being for an adult like me, I think it was really for a child at like one of those play desks. And so it's not really a piece of weight equipment. And oddly enough, I've never used it because it was the wrong size. And so it's been sitting in the background, like off site where nobody ever goes there anymore to use it. And so it's just sitting there. Now that's one thing that I could get rid of is this cool little chair that's supposed to give you like good back support and stuff. But I don't know, Heather, do you think that's something that they would take at one of those stores? I know Robin says, I think that store is Play It Again where she lives. And Kurt and Sunshine says Play It Again in California as well. So that's a good, you can tie a knot in a mesh tube or a mesh bag. Hang on, I lost that comment. For soccer balls. Yeah. So that's a great way to save those. And Judy says, you reminded me that I have 2 water belts that help you float and haven't used them in years. The YMCA has them. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. And I'm finding the honest conversations are kind of what is making us take a look differently at the stuff that we have. I know as we go through a lot of our kids' stuff. Sally, do you have anything? I know you've mentioned before that your kids are moving away. Do you have any of their stuff that they're not using that you're hanging on to?
Before, yes, I always think like one day they maybe will want to play again, or I don't know why I keep it really to say they're growing up, they're not using it. Yeah, I mean, I've been slowly giving it away, like especially like the beach stuff, like the beach, tiny, small beach chair, ball, frisbee, the water gun they used to play when they're younger, they put water, those things. Yeah, I slowly giving away. If any of my friends, they don't want it, I kind of donate it away. Like the ball that you just show, you can ask school. I think some elementary school teacher, they take it, they put in the classroom for the kids to play on the downtime or thing like that. You can ask them. I know some classes, some teachers take the ball that you just show.
I don't know. Eileen says they use the balls in physical therapy, which is awesome. And that's a great way if you're going to keep it for physical therapy. What I might do, because I don't have any need myself for using it right now as far as physical therapy goes, because I didn't have any surgery or anything. And I wouldn't use it in my regular exercising because it's so small. But I might be able to find somebody, and that's great, Eileen. Thank you for recommending that. Somebody that might be able to use that immediately, just and give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So in looking at the stuff that we have, it's also important to say, what am I going to use? And do I need something that I don't have? Because one of the purposes of giving something away is that someone who needs it could use it. Is there something that you need? Like maybe there's a person who needs a physical therapy ball right now. And instead of them going out and buying one and spending money that could be used for another part of their family bills or whatever, they could put a note maybe on Nextdoor or on, Facebook Marketplace. And they could say, hey, I'm having surgery. Is there anybody that has an extra fitness ball or something that I could use? Because I would gladly give mine to them directly. I know that my little sister had a foot surgery and she needed one of they're like little scooters, but you kneel on it instead of standing on it. And in the process of doing that, she needed one of those little scooters, and I don't know how much it was, but she didn't have the money for it. And so she put an ad on the Nextdoor or the Facebook Marketplace. I'm not sure which one it was, but she was asking, is there anybody that's had this particular surgery that has that little wheelie cart for me to get around? And somebody within like 11 minutes had one at her door. And it was somebody in the neighborhood that had one. And they were like, yeah, I've got one that's just sitting here. And because they'd already gone through the physical therapy and stuff, they were able to then just give it to her. So I'm wondering if that's a possibility as well. And oftentimes, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Heather, about finding somebody that could use it and, you know, if you're going to give it away or if you're going to sell it, finding somebody that could then use that right now so that it would feel less of a pain that I spent all this money. Like you said, your husband spent the money on the golf clubs and then felt bad because he hadn't got a chance to use them or something, you know?
Yeah, he's got 2 tennis rackets in his office and he doesn't play tennis either. So like he's part of the problem. But I know one time I was very excited about cleaning and organizing my garage. And I went out and spent all this money on like hanging things and, you know, the pegboards, and I bought all this stuff to fix the garage up. And all that I really did with it was store stuff that I didn't need in the first place. Like it held my basketball and the soccer ball, but we do not use those. So why am I paying for something to organize stuff I don't need? So I'm gonna work on this for sure.
You brought up a really interesting point, and thank you for bringing that up, because I remember being in the house cleaning industry for 30 years. We went into a lot of people's homes and we would help them organize and declutter some of their home, and we would help them, you know, find places for things. And oftentimes when we would get to people's houses, what they were asking for is not what they needed, but you want to honor their request because maybe that's what they think they need. One of the things that they were requesting is, can you help me find a space for this stuff? And we ended up putting up a lot of shelves and finding baskets and bins and trying to put those over the car garage holders and things like that so that we could accommodate the storage of the stuff that they're never going to use again. And then the bigger conversation becomes, is this going to go in a storage unit? Is this going to take up space that you could be storing something else in your home? Is this something that you're ever going to use again? And why are we trying to find a place for it when the
Exactly. I don't know where Angela went, but yes, I feel that exact same way. I have just so many things in the garage that I know we're not going to use and I don't know what to do with. But it seems like some things we get like emotionally attached to. I'm all by myself now. But anyway, I'll talk to myself for a second. So I have so many things that I don't need, and I think we get emotionally attached to it. My daughter will be like, oh, I hit a grand slam with that bat. I can't get rid of it. And your grand slam still happened, whether or not you still have that bat or you don't. And I've even noticed silly little things like little gadgets that are supposed to help me track things, or like I have all of those and I don't track anything. Like maybe I should, but I don't track anything. So yeah, it's definitely something that I could get rid of and feel okay with, not feel too much anxiety about.
Yeah, same with me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I cannot see myself. Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been keeping stuff like the kids grow up. I know that nobody use it. It be sitting there, and I don't know why. I just like, I didn't give it away. I don't know why. It's taking up space in garage, in the house, in the closet. Yeah, so we have to figure out. I mean, to move on. We had to move on. Like, it's okay to give away. I just don't know why.
I know, like, I get that bike is really, really cute and it's pink and purple. And yes, eventually, if I saved it long enough, my granddaughter would use it. But I can get her a new bicycle or another used bicycle. I don't have to keep that one for 10 years.
Very true. Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up. When my husband's parents moved, because we were talking about moving to a smaller house, when they moved to a smaller house, one of the things that they requested is, could you guys come over and collect all of this stuff that we've been saving for you for the last 30 or 40 years. And when we went to their house, underneath their house, because they had like this really tall crawl space that you could walk underneath, we found bicycles that my husband had driven with his brother when they were like 3 and 4 years old. And because they'd been under the house, now they had cobwebs and they were rusty, and like the stuff had been chunked in on top of it. So like the frames were bent, and like now nobody can use it at all. It's like literally junk. And then there was a half of a swimming pool. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a half of a swimming pool. I was like,
Yeah.
it was one of those plastic ones, like it was like, that you fill up with the garden hose.
Yeah.
And so I guess stuff had been put in on top of it and it had cut it in half. And then somebody going through stuff, trying to move something and make space, like pulled half of it out and threw it away. But I mean, like there was half of a swimming pool and I'm like, where's the other half, right? But of course, it's never going to hold water again. And so can we go ahead and give permission to let go of that stuff? And so I love this conversation. And this is not a topic that I picked, but because this was submitted to us today, it really forced me to then start looking at the stuff in my house. And I was already going through my gym area because I renovated my studio. But in doing that, I ran into a lot of things. Like, for example, I have this set of teeter boots. Have you guys seen these? These are upside down boots. You hook them on over your calf, like this goes around your calf. And then you strap these on over your leg. And then this part right here hangs upside down, like you put it on a bench.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen those before.
Yeah, me too.
It's unusual. But yeah, I was just looking through things this morning and I was like, it's kind of amazing how much stuff we still have that we don't use. And some of it still does look brand new. And like, for instance, someone gave my my oldest son some rollerblades for Christmas. Well, he did used to rollerblade when he was like 12, but he's never rollerbladed again. So I don't know why we're still keeping those other than, oh, well, someone gave us those. And so you feel bad about getting rid of them because someone gave them to you. Do you have that problem?
Yes, I do. Yes. Talking about that, yeah, I still have a pair that my kid used to have. No, I mean the size is nobody can wear. It's smaller size. Yeah. It's sitting in the garage. Yeah, I totally forget about it. Yes, I do have those too. Yeah, I think that we keep. I don't know why.
I don't know. And one question I had for Angela when she comes back, I'm so curious what everyone else is doing with all of their trophies or their ribbon, you know.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
My daughter would win these big ribbons, and the thing that hung down was like, you know, this big. And she's got probably 40 of them. What do you do with those? What do you do with, you know, my son has a swimming trophy from when he was 12. Why do we keep those? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what everybody else is doing with them. Are other people like putting them out and decorating with them, or I don't know.
I used to decorate because when they were young, they play basketball, they play stuff, and they have all trophy, regardless you're good or not. Here they give you, and so you have a lot. You all collect that. So I used to decorate them, but as I get older, it's like, why? So now it all sitting in the boxes. I feel like difficult to throw away because it's like kind of achievement. I mean, for them, like it's hard to throw away. Their name is there. Like, oh, I should keep them, but then they feel like they don't want it. So you'll be in my house in the future. Yeah. So true. What should we do with them? Those things.
And some of mine are like just participation trophies, like where my child had played something and didn't do necessarily very good. So it didn't have his name on it or anything. It just would say, you participated. Why did you keep that?
Yeah, I know.
I do know, though, that you can take those little metal name tags that are on your on the trophies. You can pop those off. And then you could like glue them to something, or you could put them like in a picture frame, and that would be a lot less space.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yes, I never thought of that. Yeah, thing that we keep.
Yeah.
And then any other equipment else in my house? Let me think. I kind of just jump in. I missed the first half, so I kind of try to think, what do I have? I know I have a lot of things sitting around. You just have to go to open the closet, dig it out, or open the boxes. Say, I have this, and nobody use it.
Yeah, and have you ever noticed how many people have swing sets like for kids in their backyard, and their kids have kids and don't come around or have moved off, or
yes,
and then the swing set will like start to fall apart in the backyard, and it's like we still are just too afraid to get rid of it. There's Angela.
Hey guys, I appreciate you carrying on. As it turns out, I got caught in some huge technical difficulties. So the cool part is the technical difficulties have not left us. They're still here. So I'm in a different location now. I actually took over Parker's setup, and Parker is our showrunner. He does all the behind the scenes stuff and keeps all of our lights and our cameras and everything working properly. And so when mine malfunctioned, I like ran over to his station. I'm like, hey, can I have your spot? So I'm in his spot today. So thank you so much, Parker, for having a backup for me. This was awesome.
Did you hear what I was saying, Angela?
I didn't. I totally got cut off. I don't
Okay.
know what happened. Something glitched on my system, and it just totally bumped me out. And I didn't think it could bump me out of my own show, and it did. Like,
I was
who does
surprised
that,
we
right?
stayed when you left. I was surprised that we stayed. But one of the questions that I had for you and everyone else is what you do with all of these trophies that your kids have gotten their entire lives, and why you kept them. And you know, like my daughter used to win these big, huge metal ones, and they were on this thing. And I used to have a shelf for each kid when they were younger of all of their stuff, but that's been long ago. And then they take up so much room.
Mhm.
And half of them are just like participation trophies. So I don't even know why we kept them. But I'm
So what
curious.
did you do with them?
Well, I put them back in the box and put them
Yeah.
back
My chair in the
back
box.
in the attic. But I did get an idea of taking the little name tags off the metal plate that actually says their name. And then
Oh, great idea.
and you could like glue it onto, a canvas or put it in a picture frame, and it would take up so much less space, but you'd
Yes.
still get that memory.
Yeah.
It's
That's a
funny.
great idea. Yeah.
And so is that also what you did, Sally? You did something similar?
No, yes. I put in the boxes, like I don't know what to do with them. When they were younger, I used to display them because you're proud the kids achieve something, whatnot. But as they're older, nobody care, and so it sit in the box. Nobody use it, nobody look at it, nobody ask. So
Mhm.
yeah, Heather give a great idea. You can take out the plaque and then put on the picture frame or something. At least you can hang it up with, individually. Take a lot less space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robin Richter says if a trophy has a name tag on it, pop it off, donate the trophy to a rec league. You can do one plaque for the tags. That's a great idea. I'm so glad you guys brought that up because I had never thought of that as far as taking the tag off and redonating that trophy because those trophies are expensive.
I never thought about donating a trophy, but I can definitely do that.
Well, but here's the thing. They don't get a lot of use, right? It's given to someone. And so like, of course, there are germs on it or whatever, but the house cleaner comes or the mom wipes it off from time to time to keep it dust free. And it just sits there. It doesn't get any use at all. And so they're practically brand new when you were to donate them even years later, because it's made of what, plastic and I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It still look new. Yeah.
I know for myself personally, because when I was young, I was very competitive in sports and I had a lot of trophies and I don't know what I was going to do with all of them, but I had a lot. I joined a fitness center and the fitness center was new and the new fitness center had like all of these trophy cases that they had purchased for the fitness center. But because it was a new fitness center, there were no leagues or anything that had already signed up with them, and there were no trophies. So they had these empty trophy cases. So I went to the owner of the fitness center and I said, hey, listen, I've got a bunch of trophies. And right now it looks like your fitness center is not all that great because you don't have any trophies and nobody won anything. Can I donate all of my trophies to you and you can put them in your trophy shelf and then it looks like somebody did something here at your fitness center? He's like, that is a great idea. And I had really tall ones and little ones, and I had ones that had ribbons, and I had a whole stash of like, I ran 29 marathons and I had all of these medallions and ribbons and whatever, And so I don't know why, but like this one, it was like a shrine. I shouldn't even confess this. This is horrible, you guys. But I had like the tags from like my road races and stuff like that. I had framed some of them. So they had like this matted frame and then like this glass. Oh, it's so arrogant now that I think about it. I had all this stuff. So I took it over and I said, pick out what you want. And they took all of it. And so and it didn't have my name on it or anything. It was just like a race number from a race. And so they had all these different race numbers, and then they had trophies from different events. And some of the trophies, I remember like the Kiowa Island Marathon. It was a great big monster bronze pelican because like there are a lot of pelicans on that island. And so it was this great big monster pelican or whatever. It doesn't mean anything to anyone except somebody that ran that race. But it was really cool, and it filled up the whole display wall. And now it looked like this fitness center had a whole bunch going on, and people were winning awards. And I got rid of all of it.
That's awesome.
That's a great idea, though. They still take it, and yeah, I mean, kind of win-win situation. You still can go and look at it. You know, it's yours, yeah, and then they gain something for people to look at it, yeah.
Well, and the point wasn't for it to be my shrine. The point was just I was going to get rid of it, and I didn't really know who would take it or for what reason. But I knew they had all these empty trophy cases. That it just looked weird. You walk in and everything, and the lights were on and everything, and I'm like,
Wow.
all I'm seeing is dust. You guys want to fill that up with something?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So before we go today, Heather, what is one piece of weight equipment that you are going to keep? And I say weight equipment, fitness equipment. It could be a yoga mat. It could be a bounce ball. It could be something that you have right now that you've decided to keep. What one thing are you going to keep and use?
I'm not very athletic anymore, so I don't think I'll be keeping any of it. I think I'm going to donate it, and if there's something that maybe I could sell possibly, but I think that it would make my garage about 50% empty if I would just get rid of this stuff. But one of the things that that Sally and I were talking about is that almost everyone, when you drive through an older neighborhood, like an established neighborhood, they'll have swing sets just out in their backyard that are just like rotting and falling down. And and people just keep them forever. It's like once you get a swing set, you can't get rid of it. And I'm always,
is that because they're saving it, you think, for grandkids, or is it?
No, I don't think so, because they're never in good shape. Like those swing sets never last over 5 years. And so these were like people that I know, their kids graduated with my older kids, so I know they don't have little ones. And I think it's just because it's big and bulky. We just leave them out there to just rot.
I've seen a lot of play sets, and I've never really thought of that as workout equipment. And I guess it falls into that category because along with that, we're thinking of like the trampolines and stuff. I know that my mom and dad, because of course we had 19 kids in our family, mom and dad had one of those great big 12-foot trampolines. And then they kept it even through their senior years, because every time the grandkids would come over, the grandkids would use it. And they've replaced the mat of that. And I think they've replaced the springs 3 or 4 times, but they've replaced that mat maybe 5 or 6 times as it wears out, because it's in hot weather and cold weather and all 4 seasons and stuff. And they've replaced it like every 3 or 4 years. They end up replacing the floor mat, the place that you jump on. But I can't tell you how much of my youth was spent on the trampoline, and then all the grandkids and the nieces and nephews and everybody that comes over uses that. And I think probably till the day they die, they're going to keep one of those great big monster trampolines in their yard. And I have a sister. It's really interesting that you talk about the swing sets. I have a sister that she has Down syndrome, and she spends a lot of her time in a swing. And I think it goes back to that physical therapy thing. But because she grew up, the swing no longer fit her, and it wasn't supportive of her weight. And my dad and a couple of my brothers went in, and all my brothers are in the construction field. My dad and my brothers went in, and they built this really tall swing set for her that is like something that would rival like at a public park, where it has a really tall frame. And I know the beams of it are like this big around, and they're all braced together with like metal braces and stuff. And there's this great big heavy duty swing. And it's like one of those chair swings that you sit in. And she spends probably, conservatively, she probably spends 2 or 3 hours a day in that swing, just sitting there swinging herself back and forth as kind of a, I'm having my alone time doing my own thing. And, just she listens to music and stuff while she's swinging. But it's a great big industrial swing now for a 28, 29-year-old that she can use every single day.
I love to hear things like that where they actually are used. Like we have a big trampoline that my granddaughter got for Christmas last year or the year before, and it's used every day. Like it's even used by my older kids. They go out and have fun on it and stuff. So I don't mind having stuff if it's being used. I just think that there's a lot that we're not using that people could get rid of.
We have a couple bikes. I don't want to tell on my husband, but we have a couple bikes that we haven't used in a long time. And unfortunately, we're the kind of people, I think we're not alone. I think lots of people do this. But you see a picture or you see a video or an infomercial or something of an ad of like, look how easy this is to use. And it was like a bicycle. And he's like, oh, we should bicycle, you know? And when we moved to the neighborhood we live in right now, it's awesome for cycling. It's like 4 miles of roads that are all enclosed in one development. And so you can ride the bikes all over without, you know, going out on a main highway or whatever and getting hit by cars. And when we went to the store to buy a bike, because he got really caught up and we should have bikes, I'm like, okay, that sounds really cool. And I think, you know, when you go to a new development that shows people on bikes and, you know, healthy family lifestyle or whatever, and we gave into that, we bought the bikes. And when he got to the store, the bike salesman is like, oh, you don't want this bike, you want like this bike, whatever. And he was trying to go from like a $300 bike to like a $3,000 bike. And I just remember thinking, wow, it was a whole lot of money for just like riding around the neighborhood, you know? And he kept bumping us up to a higher and higher and higher and more expensive bike. And I remember telling my husband, if you ride 700 miles on this little starter bike, I will buy you one of the big expensive bikes. Like I will pay for it with my own money and everything. But like we've never ridden bikes before. So going from no riding bikes to going to like major cyclists, we're going to be racing up the sides of mountains and stuff. We're not quite there yet. And I mean, like the bike this guy was trying to sell us had like those cleats that you like put the shoes in and then you lock yourself into place and stuff like that. 23 gears or whatever it was. We're riding around the neighborhood, like we're tootling from house to house, right? And I don't think to this day we've ever put 700 miles on the bikes. I mean, we still have the starter bikes right now, and they're nice bikes, but they're not, you know, they're not the expensive ones. Mm-hmm. And then I think to myself, I mean, any day we could put on our helmets and we could go out and ride bikes. So I might hang on to those. Yeah. But if you ask me, like, how long it's been since we actually rode for a bike, I'm going to get really uncomfortable. And I'm going to start thinking like, it's been too long. You know, like, why do we still have this? Because I'm not using it. And I know I'm not. You know what I mean? And in the best of intentions, I hate this, but in the best of intentions, I just renovated my entire studio. And it was my weight room. And I'm going to use all this other weight equipment. And I kind of like downsized and I moved it to another part of the house. Mm-hmm. And I haven't used it. And not at all. Not at all. I went in one morning and I lifted free weights one morning, but I've been jogging and I've been using my mini tramp. That's it. Wow. Yeah. And I hope that's not the new norm for me. Yeah. But then as I start looking at the last couple of months, because we say, what's the window? 60, 90 days. If you don't use it, lose it. And I started looking at that this week.
Yeah. I think that is a lot of people. Like I, for instance, bought some of those shoes that hook on to the bicycle because I was taking spin class at a gym. And I absolutely loved that spin class. And I spent the money on the shoes but then something happened and I ended up like missing a week. And then once I've missed a week, I'm like, oh, I'm out of shape already now. And so I tend to not go back. But then I keep the shoes because I'm like, oh, if I ever do that spin class, I'll really like having these shoes.
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. And I'm glad you brought that up because as I was putting together the videos, the slides for today, I found a pair of tap shoes. And then I had this really bad ping of, oh no, I got a pair of Capezios that are in the other room from my tap dance lesson. I did the exact same thing. I signed up for tap dance lessons. I got the shoes. I got some really cool music. I was going to like learn to tap and all this stuff because I don't know why. I need to know how to tap, right? Mm-hmm. Because everybody needs to know how to tap. Absolutely. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know how much money I spent on those shoes? And I mean, any day now, I'm gonna pick them up and start tapping again, right? Not.
That is exactly what my daughter Chaselyn did not too long ago. She was like, okay, I've been injured and I can't play softball, so I want to do dance again because she had done dance for years. So we went out and we bought all the different shoes. I think it was $300+ that day. Oh. And she danced for about 2 months. And then she was like, I just don't really have time and I really want to try band. And so that is another thing that we have that kind of goes along with sporting equipment is we have so many musical instruments in my home. so many. And we don't use any of them really, but we keep them.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because our topic for next week is musical instruments. And that's
Okay.
one of the things that we're going through. And it's important that we take a look at those as well. If you are going to play, but do take a look this next week at your gym and fitness equipment. Take a look at your musical instruments, because there's no sense, and I say there's no sense. We're in an era now of 6 generations of inheritance from our parents, from our parents' parents. And now it's like reverse inheritance. Our kids have moved away from home and we still have all of their stuff in the homes. And then you have people that are in the 50s and 60-year range that now are in a glitch. And here's the glitch. You go through menopause, and during menopause, you don't care about all this stuff. It's not on your priority list. You got other stuff going on. You don't care. You know what I mean? And so that has to be addressed. The next issue is at that particular age of life, you have elder parents now, and you're worried and focused on them, trying to help them with their health issues and get them settled and help them relocate and all that stuff. You don't have time to go through your own stuff. And so then by the time you deal with your parents and you go through changes of life and all that stuff, and you get the kids out of the home and the grandkids on their own and all that stuff, you're at a point where now you are in that age range where you need someone else to come in and help you go through all your stuff, because you now don't have the energy, the drive, or the ambition to do it.
Yeah, so true.
Anyway, in wrapping this up, Copal says that's a creepy neighborhood. I bet driving through, we're talking about the swing sets, is a bunch of abandoned swing sets. Yes, that's going to make like a horror movie. So if you guys want to film it, I want to be part of it. Like, I'll be the one in the car that drives through creepy
There's like tire swings in houses that are like elderly, they don't have any kids coming over, and you'll just see a tire swing. So yeah, it is kind of creepy. It is kind of creepy.
That's creepy. And Judy says, hope you had a great trip. Yes, I did. Thank you so much, Judy. I went to Switzerland for a week and I had a blast. I hiked the Swiss Alps and I just had so much fun. Thanks. And it's good to have you back. Eileen says, OMG, I have 4 guitars. Ooh, wow. Eileen, next week we're going to have a conversation with you. All right. And Robin says, if metal post-free scrap metal are within 5 minutes, you'll have a garage of people there, trampoline, swing sets, and appliances. They want it. That's a really, really good point. And I hadn't thought of that. That's a great way to get rid of that swing sets and trampolines and stuff like that if you have free scrap metal. I have not even thought of that. That's a great way to let some of that broken, abandoned stuff go. You guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Heather and Sally, for joining us live. Sally, you went on a trip as well.
Yes, I went to Asia for a month. I'm back
Welcome
now.
back.
Yeah, thank you. Still jet lag, but I'm good. Yeah.
You have jet lag and you still joined us today. Yay! This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, musical equipment. We're going to do this again next week, and it's not going to be the same time, same place. We are having a lot of internet glitches on my end due to the streaming times where we are, and lots of people can't join us at this time because of their scheduling. And so we are going to switch it to a later time. I will announce that in the next day or two so that you guys can join us. And if you can fit it in your schedule, I would love to have you guys back. So we want to do this to help you guys and to just have the conversations that, I don't know, maybe this sparked something today that you hadn't thought of. And then you're going to go, wait a second, that pull bar that goes over the door, I can let it go.
Right.
Anyway, keep me posted. I'm eager to hear what happens next. And you can also leave notes and comments in the comments below. And that way we can continue the conversation. But that is it for today. You guys have a great week and we'll talk soon.
Bye.